Hi everyone, welcome to my sewing studio. I'm Velo Sews and this is my sewing studio. It's Friday Sews and I've got lots to update you on because it's been a really busy week. A really good week, a busy week in the studio. So I'm happy to be here and I'm happy you're here too. So let's just jump straight into it. Today I'm wearing Burda 6533. I made this blouse last year and it uses draper's fabric, buttons from the sewing basket, and I'll talk to you more about that later. Last year, as part of my Minerva brand ambassador makes, I used a drill in a steel blue fabric and it was denim. That was the base of it, and I made the McCalls 8972 skirt, which was published in 1997, and I mean that pattern's got 8 variations, so if you find it in an op shop, good on you. Then I used the Pia vest, and the Pia vest from Designer Stitch has got a lot of the ombre at the front, and I've used the dark color on the back. Now with the ombre that you can buy from Minerva, it's one of their exclusives. The ombre goes from selvage to selvage. So it'll start dark and then it'll start to fade. So you've actually got quite a lot of fabric there to play with, and thankfully I had some more left over. Therefore, I couldn't leave it. I couldn't leave it in my sewing studio to gather dust. So I grabbed a new look and I made View A. Now this pattern was also published in 2013, so I've got a very old pattern stash to use. Now denim is everywhere and it's such a hard working fabric. The design of the dress has got a lot of princess seams, so there are lots of opportunities to fit a shapely body like mine. Now I added piping to the neckline using the lighter ombre so that you can see the contrast at the neckline, and I also use the buttons on the side, which were also from the sewing basket. And the zipper was probably bought from there as well, because I tend to go there quite a lot when I'm just looking for the smaller notions. And on Sunday of last week, it was really lovely to see that Minerva had put this dress in their carousel of one of the community makes that people in the brand ambassador network have done. So thank you for that. Now in my studio's cleanup, that continued because on, I think it was Sunday, it was like 40 degrees C. What I did work on this week was Butterick 3390, and you'll see it up here. And I've again used a Minerva fabric remnant. Now don't ask me when I use this fabric, but it's been here for a while. And what I like about this fabric is it's got tiny sequins and it's a very fine cotton fabric. So again, using a Butterick thread, I made sure that I reshaped the seams for a better fit, and it actually worked out a whole lot better. And because it is quite warm at the moment, I don't want the fit of this particular garment to actually stick to my body, because you'll see the heat and the sweat, which is not a good look. So I'm really pleased with how this turned out. Just for your reference, Butterick 3390 was published in 2001. So again, it's an old pattern that you'll probably find in an op shop. Going on to a different topic, are you a Sew Over 50 champion? Over in Sew Over 50 Instagram land, the social media editors led by Sandy Baish met online this week. So as a team, we do a really good job of supporting each other to make sure that we raise the visibility of older sewers. So we put a lot of effort into making sure that we find you and that you can find us, but that you can connect with people and be inspired to sew when you're probably not feeling like it. Everything is sort of getting to you. So, you know, even if you just have a look at Sew Over 50, or people who have used the hashtag, which is for this month, it's hashtag January Sew Over 50. Next month, it will be hashtag February Sew Over 50. So up until December, every weekend on Sew Organised Style podcast on my Instagram account for that podcast is I used to post short tutorials to help everyone navigate through Instagram with its constant changes. I took a break, and since then Instagram again has made a series of changes, and this is actually affecting the visibility of everyone, and that includes online businesses. So it's not just you and me and people who use the hashtag #over50, but it's everyone. And they've also restricted the use of hashtags to 5 under the caption, but there's nothing stopping you from putting the hashtag in comments and pinning that to the top of your comments list. So on the weekend, I'll be putting up a couple of new tutorials on Sew Organised Style podcast Instagram account, and the #over50 social media team will put that into shorts so that you can learn a little bit more about how to make Instagram better with connecting us all together. We're not businesses, we're people who love to sew. So I hope that you find these new videos really helpful. Today being Friday Sews, is I went to a sewing group at a community centre. Now this was organised by a sewing friend of mine. We've known each other for probably 30-40 years, and what was really great was it was a really big space. There were big tables for cutting out, so we went quite crazy with sharing ideas and cutting out new projects, so that was really great. The other thing was, because it was hot, we took our time and the conversation flowed and we were really productive, so that was quite interesting. And so what I was able to do is I was able to fix this particular Burda 6533 blouse that I made last year, and this week I did some work on making sure that this fits me better. And that'll be a separate podcast, and that'll be a separate video on YouTube. Now, going over to the podcast editing piece of work that I did this week. So I run Sew Organised Style podcast, and next week I'm featuring Fab Cycle. On Instagram, they're called Fab Cycle Van. So Irina, along with Erin in Vancouver, run Fab Cycle. We talk a lot about how to find them and what they've been doing in the community. So Irina is really passionate about making sure that local textile waste gets used by sewers, knitters, and any makers of any craft, any hobby, you name it. She's making sure that you get access to it. Plus there's a whole lot of other things that they do. And last year they actually held their own frock towels event at a car dealership. So she really does think outside the box, and I encourage you to listen to next week's episode on Fab Cycle. And again, that's in Vancouver, Canada. So the podcast giveaway happened this week. We had Nicole Nerig, her book, which is called With Her Own Hands, Women Weaving Their Stories. Now, Nicole holds a PhD in clinical psychology, and her publisher W.W. Norton generously provided 3 copies for the giveaway. And the 3 winners, and one of them is a paid Patreon member, are really pleased that they've won it. So have a look at the Sew Organised Style Instagram account to see who the 3 winners are. And hopefully when I have future giveaways, I hope that you'll put your hand up and get involved, because you could win one. So next week is a big one. I'm attending a series of pattern making classes. So that's for me to create block patterns with an industry expert. So I had a look at, you can see the blocks that I created in 2013. My body was different in 2013, so it's going to serve the right purpose to have new block patterns designed this year based on my current shape and size. So that's what I'll be doing over the next 4 Tuesdays, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you for joining me today in my sewing studio. So this is Velo Sew's Sewing Studio. I really hope that you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week for Friday Sews. Cheers.